Hey, Scott from Aristocob.com here.
And Seth from chickenpasture.com.
And together, the three of us, we're Markwood Men's Breakfast Club.
Yeah, I've heard it both ways.
You are a third of Markwood Men's Breakfast Club.
You are a third of many.
We have heard the resounding yes that you are a third of Markwood Men's Breakfast Club. Yeah, we are a Markwood Men's Breakfast Club's a big group of people now.
Yeah.
But you're a critical third, and we're glad that you're sitting there watching us. Unless you're standing, in which case, sit down, relax a little bit.
Well, that was fun.
Yeah, so I am smoking some Lane BCA.
Yeah, you got into it early.
I did. I've been waiting on Boy, and I thought, you know what? I have been waiting and waiting and waiting. I am going to begin smoking. It's a black Cavendish. For those of you who don't know, Lane BCA, just a simple, we smoked this Amphora black Cavendish a few weeks back, and that made me want to smoke BCA.
Somebody today recommended a new, I think it was Amphora, Virginia?
Yes, that's the one I said I didn't buy.
Okay.
I bought the full aroma, the original, the black Cavendish, and the Virginia I knew that we didn't care for.
Okay.
Sorry, neither of us are straight Virginia fans.
But,
although you would like what folks call vapors, which is Virginia and Perique.
Probably.
So, anyway, I just returned from a little over a week in Germany and Switzerland and saw some interesting things I wanted to share with you and you. First off, I was there visiting a number of factories with some of the sales reps from my company. And these are guys whose primary responsibility is selling hardware into what are referred to as projects. Isn't every woodworking project a project? Well, you'd think.
Sounds that way.
But in the world of architecture, a project is a construction project, a building, usually. And these guys focus on companies like Hilton. Hilton may be putting in a new property or coming up with a model Hampton Inn of the future kind of a deal. And they work with those corporate entities to try to get what products they might need. And then if it's a product we have, great. If not, it's something we develop. And one of the factories we visited is a factory I've been to several times over the last almost 20 years. And my mind got blown this time. Because this is a factory in Germany, southern, kind of in the Black Forest area of Germany. And what this factory has always been is a stamping factory. They have great big presses.
Okay.
And all a press is really is think of like a guillotine, something that's moving down. And it's a huge, massive weight. And I'm talking these are 4-ton, 6-ton, 8-ton, big old cast iron weights that are being lifted and then dropped. Lifted and then dropped. And what you put underneath that is tooling that is like a glorified paper punch. And every time it comes down, it punches these holes in a piece of steel. Then typically the steel will progress to another section.
It folds it.
It comes down again. It punches it again. It does, maybe round punches here and rectangular punches here and then folds and so on. So it starts as a big old sheet of steel on one end, and on the other end is a component of like a drawer slide or something like this. And you'd go to this factory, and what you would hear is these three machines just ba-boom, 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 just constantly pounding. And what I noticed was the floor wasn't shaking while we were meeting in a conference room. Usually the floors would get to shaking, and the last thing you want to happen is for your presses to get in sync. And every now and then they'll get in sync. And then they'll slow one of them down.
It's like a rave.
Yeah. It's like a mosh pit.
Yeah.
But instead I was hearing a completely different sound.
Lasers.
And so when we went out to this, and this is all steel stamping, okay? We went out on the floor, and I'm hearing this high speed, high pitch sound. I didn't know what it was. I couldn't equate to it. And what I found was
an army of chipmunks with tiny little chisels constantly chipping away at the steel.
Close.
Tell me I'm close. It's in the Black Forest. Just the name of it sounds magical enough.
That's how
to
they
be able to
earned
have
the name
chipmunks.
chipmunk. They chip away.
Mm-hmm.
No, what it was a CNC machine, right? Computer numeric controlled. It's plugged into a computer, and instead of now these tools that you're stamping on with this big press, each one of these tools could be $40,000 to $100,000 to produce, and then you have to maintain them. This machine was called I wrote it down. Why don't you just look down? A Trumatic CNC punch. And what this thing was this great big arm that reached out over a table. And then on the back edge was a series of clamps. And the machine would load in a big old, let's say 4x8 sheet of 1/4 inch thick steel. It would clamp on the edge of it. And then it would move that big sheet in and out and around while this punch is going bam, 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 and punching. And what you ended up with was a sheet that looked like a jigsaw puzzle with all the pieces removed. And here they are making these custom shapes that otherwise you would have had to have committed to the tooling and committed to a run, and they're going to put this machine together, and you're going to buy a couple days worth of hardware.
And you're going to need 4 machines punches
to make different parts.
Shape.
Okay,
right?
This one machine could make any shape you wanted, and could make different shapes in different places. Talk about a game changer. And I now know, this is not new, but it was new to me and new to this factory. And this factory was currently in the process of selling off their punches. And they'll ultimately scrap their tooling.
Did you buy one for the shop?
Surprise, no.
Oh.
But it was such a change and such an innovation where every other time I've been to that factory, they basically say, here's what we make. We make this and this and this. Get more customers that are interested in buying this and this and this. Now they say, we process metal, we stamp parts, we thread parts, we weld parts. They have robots that'll weld things. They have about 20 craftspeople whose job it is to weld.
Yeah.
So you got these rooms where there are robots and welders working together. The robots are doing some of the big repetitive stuff, and the men, I think primarily men, are doing the fine detail.
Yeah.
It was really fascinating and exciting to see that how this advancement has changed what was a pretty stable business, but not a very innovative business.
Yeah.
They've been stamping out the same parts there for years.
Yeah.
Combine that with the fact that we spent half a day at the Mercedes-Benz Museum.
Okay.
Okay, that was cool. I posted a video on the Aristocob channel where I shared some pictures of what we saw, and the museum itself starts with the very first engine that Benz made, and it was a simple little internal combustion engine, simple like something you'd see on a lawnmower. But from that, he made cars and motorcycles and trolleys and attached it to dirigibles.
Dirigibles?
Yeah. And then evolution on and on and on. And to where they are today with race cars and, all kinds of cool stuff. It was just sort of fascinating. And over 20 years, I went from where sitting at a table among my peers, I was the youngest guy sitting there at the table 20 years ago. And on this trip, I was the oldest guy sitting there at the table. And that was kind of shocking because those 20 years passed in about 4.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, it was a great trip. Traveled to a number of factories, each of them doing something different. Electronic access control, where you present a key card and it looks at the transponder and makes a decision about, okay, that's a good key, but you're not supposed to be here on Sunday night at 2 a.m.
Right.
And not only are you not allowed in, we're telling your boss.
Right.
Audit trails, they call that.
Yeah.
And seeing not only the computer side of that, the smart software portion of it, but also everything then that interacts at the front desk at the hotel when they give you your key, or if you're a hospital and you're giving people credentials, all the way through to the hardware that they're making, the locks that interact with the software to make those decisions, and it is a lot of fun.
Ones that are really interesting are the near field communication stuff they're doing with the, you know, like we had used checking into your hotel and being able to use your smartphone as your key. That stuff's fascinating.
Anyway,
that's cool.
It's the technology is advancing so quickly. We're going from where we were pretty excited that you could control LED lights with a remote control to where you can control LED lights with a remote app built into your phone, to where you'll be able to walk into the room and say, lights on. Which
I do that.
Philips has that, and you can do that with your Apple TV, and you can do it with Alexa and so on. But I'm just saying the technology just took off from where, again, we had a remote control that spoke to a single driver that controlled those lights to where now they all speak to each other. They make a mesh network. And these devices speak to each other throughout a house. And so you'll be able to be in your bedroom and go, I think I left the lights on in the living room. And you will it to be.
It's funny you say that. I did that exact thing tonight. So I've got some smart home capability stuff set up in my house. I've got now 3 Alexas throughout my house. I've got several Wi-Fi enabled outlets, and then I do have some. One is a LED that is the bulb. It's a light bulb that is itself Wi-Fi enabled, a smart LED bulb in a lamp that I can control.
So all you did was you screwed into the lamp, and suddenly the lamp.
Well, suddenly the lamp turned on, but I had to then connect. I had to use a connection on my phone to connect to the light bulb. To get the light bulb on my Wi-Fi network, and then I also have a strip of LEDs, all of the stuff is Wi-Fi enabled. It's all hooked up to my Alexa, so my Alexa is now set up where at 2 a.m. all of the lights shut off, the TV shuts off, the TV won't come on until 8 a.m. when the kids are downstairs. It's not just the TV comes on, but the power strip is actually there's no power to it, so my son can't turn the TV on when he wakes up at 5 a.m. So I did it today. I just recently set up an Alexa in my garage, and then I have a Wi-Fi enabled smart outlet that I have a power strip plugged into that has my 3D printer. It has a light, a couple of things on it. As I was leaving the house tonight, I looked in and saw that the light was on. And so pulled up the Alexa app on my phone and said, garage off. And
from your car in the driveway.
Turned off the lights in the garage. So cool. It's great.
You know, I think you can get a pretty complex lighting scheme going in a house. And you're probably, maybe I'm wrong here, you're probably always going to want some sort of a physical interface, whether it's your phone or an app, that you're going to kind of set everything up. And then ultimately you can walk into your kitchen and say, lights on, or set the mood, dinner, something like that. But you know, you're not going to want to stand in your kitchen and say, Alexa, toe kick lighting 80%, backsplash lighting red, and speaking every single thing that you could.
You could.
But you're probably going to have scenes or settings that you would pre-program, and that would be easier, I think, with an app.
Yes.
And then you speak the controls to.
Yeah. The diagnostics is always easier through an app or web app or whatever on the phone. We do the same thing with our Nest. We have a Nest. Our thermostat is Wi-Fi enabled as well, and has remote sensors that can sense the temperature in a certain room and make the temperature in that room the set temperature. So it might be 68 degrees downstairs to make the upstairs bedroom 70 degrees. But it monitors that.
Do you have a backup Wi-Fi modem?
No.
So what do you do if your Wi-Fi goes out?
You don't use Wi-Fi. What do you mean?
Will your light still function? Will your refrigerator still turn on?
Yeah. So, I mean, everything, the light is just connected to a lamp. So the lamp is on, and you can do a hard reset on it. For the light bulb, it's actually screw it in, out, in, out, in, out. For the thermostat, it has a physical dial, so you can adjust that. The Wi-Fi plugs have a physical plug that you can plug in. So yeah, all of those things have, all of them to my knowledge, have a fail-safe, a backup. Yeah. You just can't automate the stuff.
Because that's like the question with electronic locking. People always ask, what happens if the power goes out?
Right.
To which I always ask,
what do you do with your unpowered lock right now?
No, I would ask them, well, what do you want to have happen when the lights, when the power goes out? Because you might assume this is a cabinet with drawers. Well, I want all these to lock down.
Right. No, you
really? Even the drawer that you keep your car keys in, and your purse and your flashlight and all that? Oh, okay, then I guess I want them all to be unlocked. No. Really? Even the one that has the petty cash and employee records? Oh, so I guess I want this one to unlock and these to lock. You can do that with, just have to know up front what it is you want to have happen when the power goes out. Speaking of 3D printer,
well, hang on, but real quick though, one of the things, and I'm sure that the products you guys sell address this, but I've talked before about lock picking and certain lock picking videos. One of the things that they will talk about on some of those lock picking videos is how locks always have the point of least resistance, right? And that's what you're looking for. You're looking to exploit the path of least resistance. Oftentimes, there are many high-end, very expensive smart locks, battery-powered, thumbprint scanner, whatever, biometric, read your eyeballs, locks.
Big old magnet, right?
Many of the, well, no, I mean, you could, but I wasn't even going to go there, but many of those really high-end, on the technical side locks, use crappy locking hardware that's easily picked.
Right.
And or the opposite is sometimes true.
Overkill on the mechanical lock and really poor electronic.
Yeah, it ends up being security theater, a lot like the TSA, where people think, oh, I have to have my thumbprint. It's really, really smart. And they put a lot of time and effort and R&D to that. And they use a lock that can be bumped with a bump key in 5 seconds. Or, as Mythbusters showed, and there's some date to this, so I'm sure they're better, but they were able to lift thumbprints with some baby powder or some glue right off the scanner. So, there's a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, I thought that was Mission Impossible
myth
until they showed that. It's really true. Anyway, to me it's interesting. It's interesting to see one of the issues that we had, because one of the guys that was with us had worked for a competitive access control company, and he was very concerned because you could buy a rare earth magnet on Amazon and you could release their lock without unlocking it. There's no evidence that you were there. There's no, the software doesn't know it. And he was super excited to see our locks disassembled. They could see, it's like, wow, that's awesome. You can't do that. It's like, yeah, you can't.
Yeah, the recent one I saw was a safe, a gun safe, that can be reset. It's a number password.
I saw
there's
that
too. There's a paper clip. You put the paper clip in, and there's a reset button, and you can reset the password. And then he took it the next day, or maybe he took a different safe. There's a similar safe. It's a gun safe, again, designed for like pistols, that if you pull on one corner,
boom.
You pull on one corner, the whole thing releases and unlocks.
I saw that too.
So what I'm saying is, if you're in the market for anything that you need high levels of security, go to YouTube, go online, do some research, because there are people out there that are trying to break it.
Look up that part number, how to break into or how to defeat.
Yeah, there's one, and there's another one where a guy uses a sock. He uses a sock, like wedges it between a corner, and is able to shimmy it down, and it pops open on a large safe.
Did you hear that Whitey Bulger was killed in part by a sock with a lock in it?
No. I don't know who that is, but
Whitey Bulger was
got hit in the head.
He was a big mob guy.
Yeah.
That turned state's evidence and went to jail and to prison, and a week or so ago was murdered in jail, and part of by hitmen, and part of what they used was a sock with a lock.
They'll do it.
Sounds like Dr. Seuss.
Yeah, yeah, they'll do it. So I mentioned, I think last week, while we were showing off the drone, that I got my 3D printer back up and running, and I have been printing stuff nonstop. I printed a lot of Dungeons and Dragons miniatures, but some of the more practical things, I guess you could say. They're not practical, a little bit practical. Things that I printed recently. I printed this is a spinning top that I don't know if this is gonna work. We'll try it. It's difficult. It's a top. It works.
You hold it.
Ah! Yep, that's a challenge. Nice.
There we go.
So
nice.
Printed top. Now, what I didn't know when I printed it is the nubbin, the tip is it actually printed 3 different types. One very narrow, one kind of medium, and one broad. And then you had to glue them in place. So that was an interesting discovery. But then the more practical thing that I've printed, I really like this. I haven't blown it up, so I could make these larger. But this is a case. Now, here's an empty one. There is one side that is slightly larger than the other. That's the top. Yep.
Huh.
And so
it's a 2-liter bottle and
that's
cap,
right.
basically.
That's exactly right. So, you know, it could be a pill case. I usually keep a bottle of ibuprofen, a small bottle of ibuprofen in my bag. There's all sorts of stuff that could go in here. 2 bowls of pipe tobacco. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
cool.
The reason why I printed this, and I was surprised at how knurled and how fine the knurling is on this. The reason I printed it is because I have these floating around loose in my bag. So these are a miniature set of D&D dice that I purchased recently. So these things are super tiny. This is the 20-sided die that you use most often. And I needed a better way to carry them. They fit perfectly in this tiny little case. So I'm excited. Hopefully I'll have some, as the holiday season rolls around, I'll have some projects that I can share that are a little bit more interesting than that.
There is a real simple life hack. Can I see your bottle there? Pop bottle? Yes, I say pop. Seen in a couple of videos where you take your pop bottle and you cut it off right beneath that rim here, and with 2 of those back to back, you glue them together. You can use a hot melt bottle, hot melt glue, or even CA glue, and then you end up with what you've done
essentially
here, with a cap on each side.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah, it always seems like too much trouble.
Sure does.
This took I think 3 hours. But the great thing is I now have a camera set up.
You weren't standing there for 3 hours.
That's it. I've got a camera set up on my 3D printer. I was able to, one of the prints I had was like a 5-hour figurine that I printed. I was able to start that from work remotely, which is pretty cool. Being able to get on the camera, make sure it started right, and control everything online. I even upload the file that way.
Well, that's cool. I have something I need for you to do.
Okay.
Our new German intern, was asking me just today whether something could be printed for her.
Okay.
And it's a common little figurine that she didn't bring with her.
Oh.
It's like, yeah, sure, we can make that happen.
Yeah. So the challenge I run into is I don't do any of the designing software.
She said she can get a vector
file. If she can get the right file type.
Well, you tell me what file type is, and I'll let her know.
G-code or STL. Certainly be printed.
So one other thing I want to be sure that we talk about, and this isn't going to go long, obviously, is tobacco advent and how that's coming. And I got to say, thank you, because we'll be going in sometime around the Thanksgiving holiday, and we're going to begin recording some of the videos so we can have them ready to go December 1st. And usually we're a bit sweating, and we've had about, I don't know, a dozen people who sent us tobacco, which is really fantastic.
And we've had some more.
Thank you, guys. And assuming guys, maybe gals.
We've had some more on last week's video say that they're sending some as well, and so it's been a great.
Still don't know if we're going to have enough, and so don't necessarily hold back. But I do want to say to those of you who have sent them in, we're getting them, and we do appreciate that we've got them ready to roll. That means we can process the videos, we can get the ornaments out to you quicker.
Which I think we've responded to most of them. It's a priority to get last year's ornaments out. We know those of you that sent tobaccos last year, we apologize again for the delay in getting those to you. We certainly appreciated the tobacco. We hope that you Oh, the light decided to
I
come
had an
on.
idea.
We hope that that the delay has not been too off-putting, and hope that you enjoy the tournament when it does arrive. But yeah, it's been incredible turnout, and so typically we will smoke up to 2 tobaccos from each individual if 2 are sent, and so we only know that number of packages have been sent. We haven't opened them.
They could have one, or could have 2 tobaccos.
They could have multiple.
That's true.
So.
That's true. Yeah. Some of them are envelopes, and I think just have one.
That's great.
But
it's awesome.
Boxes. People have sent boxes, which is who knows what's in those. That's crazy.
Right.
Thank you guys. And again, we don't do this so we can get stuff. We do this because we want to have the third of you who can't be in the room with us be a part of this special project that we do every year. So
yeah.
All right, well, we're going to wrap this up. Thanks again. Appreciate your time today. Go make it a great week, and see you next week.
See ya.